Hello, I am Minecraft Phenom 08 and welcome to the 59th episode of my second 1 billion iron ingot challenge. In today's episode, I am going to be doing a few things to get my world ready for a public release. And that's because I would like to give you guys a world download of this world. And I want to do a few things to make the world run a little more automatically and a little more smoothly so that if you actually go ahead and download this world, it will run very, very well without you having to do anything at all. So the first thing I would like to do is to add a backup capacitor to my main battery system. And so currently, if you've been following along, I have a giant capacitor underneath my base, and it stores a large amount of RF rather. And right now it's actually empty, and that's because I actually did something dumb with my fusion reactors. But anyways, I would like to set up a spare capacitor so that if anything goes wrong with my main power system and it actually shuts everything down because my Applied Energistics ME system here is powered off of my main capacitor, if it were to go down, my world would grind to a halt. Nothing would get done because pretty much everything flows through my ME system here. So what I want to do is I want to build a giant capacitor as a backup power source so that if everything hits the fan and everything shuts off because there's no power, you will have a way to turn on my ME system and do some troubleshooting and have a long time to do that, because I am going to use 1,000 vibrant capacitor banks to build a giant capacitor as a backup energy source. Now let me see here. I actually need to get, so this is 41. So let's see here. I need 4 more. There we go. So I should have 1,000 vibrant capacitor banks with me right now. And I would like to grab a wand to make placing them just a little bit faster. So I have an area dug out, and it is actually down here. I have an elevator that goes down into this chamber here. Now this chamber is, I think, something like 10 by 10 by 15. I only need 10 by 10 of the space here to actually set up this giant capacitor. So let's go ahead and do that now. So there's 10. And that is the proper mode that I need. Now I can just use this to lay down a lot of these. So there we go. So now I should be able to do 100 at a time now. If everything is all counted out correctly, that should be 1,000 capacitors. So as we see here, the capacity is 25 billion RF. And it has just a little bit of charge in it. And up here I actually have my main capacitor, and what I want to do is I want to hook this up to this capacitor right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my crescent hammer. This needs to be an output, this needs to be an input, and I did that poorly. And then I need some flux duct. So right here, boom. And then I just need to hook these up. Okay, so this should start charging. And now what I want to do is I want to have a power meter over here. And I'm going to have this go all the way up. And I keep clicking one too many. Okay, so just a few more here. Can I reach it? Yep. Yes, I can. And I think that'll be good for right now. And the next thing I need to do is I need to hook up this capacitor to my ME controller or to an energy acceptor. And I think that's actually the route I'm going to go. So let me grab an energy acceptor. And how do I not have this automated? Okay, apparently I don't have this automated. So I am going to do that real fast. So that's made pretty simply with a recipe like that. Just some flux and quartz glass and iron. So now I can grab one of these, and then I need to wait for that to craft up. I have a bunch of cryostabilized flux duct already with me. And so I need to find an area to where I can connect this up to my applied energistic system. And I think I might be able to run a line of covered cable off of this right here. So let me grab some covered cable. And let me grab, actually I think that's about all I need. So if I dig over and let me make sure I have this on 1x1 mode here. And actually it doesn't much matter, to be honest. Actually, I might need to actually go over to the right just a few here. Yeah, it might be best if I go down from here. And I should hit the capacitor, which I did. Oh, and I fake broke the block. There we go. Okay, so now I can just run this over something like this. And in the future, I actually might want to cover that up just a little bit better, but that's okay. Actually, let's not do that one just yet. Because let's change this to be output. And I actually don't even need this block. I don't know why I did that. So I can just put the energy acceptor right here. And then I can just simply run the covered cable to it. Actually, it might be easier if I did something like this. Is that connected? There we go. So the next step is I want to cover this back up. And then I also want to add a lever somewhere. Let's go down here. And I want this to only be on when the lever is pulled. So let's put this on redstone mode active with signal. And then I want to put a lever. Let's try it right here. Yeah, I think that'll work. It won't be the most pretty thing in the world, but it should work. Okay, so actually I need to dig down from something like right here. Okay, cool. So let's get some redstone, some sort of redstone conduit here, and that's not what I'm looking for. Actually, let's just type in conduit because that's what I want. Redstone conduit, that should be good. And let's set this to be an output on the red channel, and then we can run this up something like this. And then, like I said, I want the lever to be right here so we can... that will not be anything, actually. So I need a facade. Actually, I'm going to need several facades, so let me just grab a bunch of them. And a lever. And we can put the lever right here. That's not where I want the lever. I want it down. And then I actually need to place... oh, I was like, how did I even place that? I placed it up against the flux duct. Actually, I want to place it right there. And I want to grab a Yeta wrench so that I can see what I'm doing here. Because what I need to do is I need to put this input on... what I have this as? I already forget. Red. So I need that to be input on red. And then that should be good. And then I can just run this across. Something like that. And I'm going to have to disconnect all that manually, but that's okay. Cool, cool, cool. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cover this up and tidy up everything real fast, and I can do that off camera. And once I have everything tidied up, I will be right back. Okay, I am back and I'm ready to actually test this system. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put a sign right here, and I'm just going to say pull in case of emergency. Okay, so that's there. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to tell this capacitor to stop outputting, which means this my whole ME system should actually shut off after a bit. It does have its own power buffer, but pretty shortly it should shut off, which it did. By pulling this lever, it should turn back on. Let's see if that actually happens. It did. So that is fantastic. That's exactly what I want to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this back on. I'm going to turn this back off. And it seems like everything works perfectly. So that's good. So the next thing I want to do is I actually want to do a little separation of my hydrogen, water, or my hydrogen, deuterium, and oxygen production. So currently all of my hydrogen and oxygen is produced right here with these electrolyzers. The thing is, this system does require a little maintenance by me, and that is because it produces these things in uneven amounts. For example, every now and then I have to come and replace this black hole tank of oxygen, and that's because this oxygen becomes full, and so the electrolyzers eventually have no place to put the oxygen, and so essentially I start starving hydrogen and my deuterium because these electrolyzers get backed up and then they stop working. So the thing is, I have an area set up to actually make more electrolyzers, and what I'm going to do right here is I'm actually going to start trashing the hydrogen and the deuterium. So let's go ahead and set that up. I already have a fluid trash can right here, and so what I need to do is I need to grab a wrench first off, and I need to grab a filter. So what I'm going to do is, and I didn't mean to do that, I need to click on that. I need to tell this to be insert, and it already actually has the filter. I need to whitelist both hydrogen and deuterium. So let me grab hydrogen and then deuterium. And there we go. So basically, all the hydrogen and all the deuterium I produce here will eventually make its way over there, and I can actually go ahead and kill this insertion so that all of it will end up over there. So I'm pretty much only producing oxygen over here at this point, and that's because I need the oxygen to be produced over here for my fluid infuser. So yeah, so that's all set up. The next thing I need to do is I actually need to set up the hydrogen and deuterium production, and I'm going to do that at my my nuclear fusion base. So once I pop in over there, I will be right back. So I'm now over at my fusion base, and I have most of my setup already done, to be honest. So what I've done is I've added a capacitor over here and over there. And one of these lines are going to make hydrogen and the other is going to make deuterium. And it doesn't really matter which one makes which. But what I have so far laid down is cryostabilized flux duct under the floor here. And that is connected to this capacitor. This capacitor is basically just so that I can measure how much energy I'm using on my electrolyzers. And this tank right here will be hooked up to a fluid storage bus, which is connected to my applied energetics system, and this side over here is set up the exact same way. So what I need to do is I need to first grab a bunch of electrolyzers. I have a bunch of them made up, and they are right here. So let's go ahead and plop those down, and they just go right beside all of the compact infinite water sources. And basically they should actually fire up real quickly, and I actually don't have a water source block here. Let me grab those real fast. I should need 2 of them. And I don't know why I didn't have that ready, but whatever. It does not matter. So I think on each side I'll have something like 15 of these. Actually, it might be 1 or 2 more. So I started out with 49, so It's actually probably, what, 17? Yeah, 17 electrolyzers on each side. And as you can see, they are running extremely slowly because they do not have upgrades. But fear not, I have upgrades already made up. So let me grab some of those upgrades. And first off, I'm going to just put in speed upgrades. So actually, let's just type in speed. And I'm going to put a stack of speed upgrades in each of the machines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this off camera real fast. And once I have every single electrolyzer packed with 64 speed upgrades, I will be right back. So all of the electrolyzers now have 64 speed upgrades, and they cannot actually run it all in this current configuration, and that is because the process power right now would be 85,800 RF per tick. The thing is, the electrolyzer only stores 1,716 RF, so it cannot even do anything. The thing is, when we provide energy upgrades, though, it increases the amount of energy the electrolyzer can store, and it brings down the amount of process power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use half a stack of energy upgrades for each one, and we now see that the energy stored is 49,400 RF, and the process power has been kicked all the way down to 2,600 RF per tick. So what I'm going to do real quickly is off camera, I am going to add half a stack of energy upgrades to all of the electrolyzers. And once I have all of that done, I will be right back. So the last step of this build is actually getting all of the fluids out of the electrolyzers and to where they need to go. So one side of this system needs to be for hydrogen and the other side needs to be for deuterium. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some interfluid conduit. I'm going to put it right, not there, whoops. Let's try this again. And actually, you know what? I can't even get rid of that until I grab a Yeta wrench. Okay, let's try this one more time after I do this. Okay, so let's try this again. So I need to set this to be insert. I need to put in a filter here. So what I'm going to do is over here I'm going to do hydrogen. So the hydrogen needs to go in here. And then I also need to put a fluid conduit right here. I need to shut that down, have no connection to the water. I need to insert to the trash can. I need to use a filter, and over here I need to do deuterium and oxygen, because that is the other two things that the electrolyzers produce. Oh my goodness. And I need to choose the correct oxygen here. So the hydrogen from these guys should go here. The oxygen and deuterium should go to the trash can. And so the next thing I need to do is I need to set up the extraction from the electrolyzers. I'm going to hope that I don't need to use any speed upgrades or anything. It doesn't look like I will, so that is pretty fantastic. So I just need to set these to all be extract always on, and that's pretty simple. So there we go. And okay, so I should have a few more. Okay, so there's more of these than I really thought. There should be 17. Okay, so the last thing I need to do is I actually need to set up a storage bus. Actually, I need to set up 2 storage buses here. So let's grab 2 storage buses, the fluid storage buses. And looks like I need to craft one more. That shouldn't take but just a second. And we should have some hydrogen in here. We do by now. So let's set this up to be partitioned to what's already in there. And then let's set this to be positive 2,000 priority. Okay, so I need to do basically the same thing over here. So let's dig this out. I'm not going to set up the storage bus quite yet because I need to do the filters. So let's turn this off. This will be insert, and it will be hydrogen and oxygen, because over here we want to keep the deuterium. So oxygen is next, and then right here we need need to insert deuterium. And then I need to go ahead and set all of these up to be extract always on. I'm actually going to do just this first one real fast. Extract always on. We should quickly see some deuterium flow into here. So now I can set up my storage bus. Let's set this up to be what is already in here with a positive 2000 priority. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to first off configure all of the conduits here. And then I'm going to clean things up, clean up the walls and stuff. And then I will be right back to wrap up the episode. And here we are. I have everything cleaned up. It looks like everything is running smoothly. Both sides are using 44,200 RF per tick, which is to be expected. I did expect them both to match up because they are all both lines are using the same amount of electrolyzers with the same amount of upgrades. So that's cool. And yeah, so let's wrap up the episode. So in today's episode, I set up an emergency capacitor at my main base so that if my ME system goes down for any reason, all you have to do is toggle that lever. It should power my ME system back up. And because that capacitor is so large, it should be able to power the ME system for a long, long time. I'm not going to give any definitive statements, but I would guess it would actually be able to power my ME system for several real-world days. I don't have any data to actually back that up, though. You'd have to test that yourself because I'm not going to. And then I came over here and I set up 2 lines to produce hydrogen and deuterium, and that should mean that I should have to do no maintenance to my hydrogen, oxygen, and deuterium production systems because they should all run as they need all the time, unless I actually fill up the black hole tank or one of the black hole tanks, and then the line should be able to shut down and not bottleneck any of the other 3 things because, like I said, while I was kind of reconfiguring the oxygen line, that when my oxygen tank would get full, it would cause the electrolyzers to cease producing hydrogen and deuterium also. And so then that could become a bottleneck for my system and then shut down my whole fusion base because that's kind of dependent on me having hydrogen and deuterium. So yeah, so this has been a pretty productive episode. Like I've said, I've actually already passed the 1 billion iron ingot goal. I'm actually at almost 1.2 billion iron ingots at this point. My production per day is something like 26 or 27 million iron ingots per day. So that's pretty fantastic. In the next episode, I am going to do a world download, and I'm going to walk you through the steps that you'll need to do to actually get the world up and running. So stay tuned for that if you want to download the world and play with it yourself. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's episode, definitely give it a like. If you enjoy watching automation in modern Minecraft or want to watch out for that world download that I'm going to be providing in the next episode, definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already to my channel. Anyways, signing off, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and I will see you next time.